Hell hath no fury like a woman trying to steal a parking spot at the mall, right? Well, tonight, hell hath no fury like a Fury scorned, a 1958 Plymouth Fury named Christine. And I'm Joe Bob Briggs. And is there anything that women ever forget? How come they always remember and I never can? How come when I do remember, it doesn't count? Let me give you an example. Let's say there's a girl named Wanda, and let's say Wanda is the wife of a guy named Steve Areno. And so one day Steve Areno asked Wanda to deposit his paycheck in the bank on her way to aerobics class. But Wanda decides she'll deposit the paycheck after she does aerobics, so she puts the paycheck in her locker, and when she's leaving the gym, she tosses it into the dirty towel bin along with her dirty towel. Okay, bye-bye check, right? Now, Steve Areno's going to be really, really mad about that, right? But how long will Steve Areno be mad? 1 day? 2 days? If he stays mad for more than 3 days, Wanda will consider him the evilest, most abusive husband who ever lived. And in fact, if Steve Areno is like most men, he will forget about it after a couple days, and he'll never be able to bring it up again. Now let's see what happens when the tables are turned, okay? Steve Areno goes to a party at Wanda's office, gets a little drunk, and pays a little bit too much attention to Cecilia, the 19-year-old mini-skirted office intern. When they get home, Wanda is mad. Now, how long will Wanda remain mad? How long will she remember this party? We're talking the half-life of plutonium, aren't we? 50 years from now, the guy can be on his deathbed, and Wanda can be missing all her teeth and deaf in one ear, and she'll still be screeching at him, I remember that time you hit on that hussy Cecilia. Do you ever get this one? Well, if you don't know what day this is, I'm certainly not going to tell you. And you think, oh my God, it's her birthday. No, her birthday's not for 4 months. Our anniversary. No, that was in the summer. You go around for hours worrying about it, and then she finally tells you, it was on this day 6 years ago that you bought me that dinette set, and then we went out for spaghetti. And you go, I forgot that? And for a full minute, you actually think you screwed up. You really start saying to yourself, what an ignorant scuzzball I am. I can't even remember a date like that. You know, a dinette set and everything. And then you realize she is the one with the Looney Tune memory warp. Anyway, speaking of warped, let's watch another flick by our favorite warped best-selling author, Stephen King, and directed by the twisted John Carpenter, Christine. Roll it. What is this memory thing? I really don't like it. Whoa, who spiked her Geritol? No wonder Arnie's a complete wimp. I mean, first his mom makes him take his lunch in one of those little brown bags, and then they won't let him have a car. Parents probably make him play Scrabble with them, too. Anyway, we're cooking with gas now. We're going. Anyway, that's Keith Gordon as Arnie. And did you guys notice Kelly Preston as the Bimbo Cheerleader? She was a tender young 21 when this flick was made in 1983. And on the other hand, the guy who plays Buddy, the high school meanie, he looks like he was about 36. So, of course, guess he got held back a few times. Okay, once again, I didn't get to the drive-in totals before we started, so here they are. 7 dead bodies, hands roll, stomachs roll, 1 brawl, 3 pints blood, 0 breasts, no kung fu, 1 motor vehicle chase, extra credit for a drive-in scene where the bimbo almost gets choked to death by the car, great crash and burn scene, 1 exploding gas station, 1 attack by a road grader, 3.5 stars. We shall return, and I will be giving you the full report on Stephen King as he recovers from his big accident. You know, next week is the 1-year anniversary of the accident. That's how Big Steve's friends refer to it. Just, you know, and around here, we're definitely friends of Big Steve's, and we were showing Maximum Overdrive on this show at the exact moment the accident happened, but it's not our fault. All right? And I hope he got my card, because Kathy Bates sent him a card. Is that sick or not? It said, got Nobril on her card, which is the drug she gave James Caan after she broke his legs in Misery, Stephen King movie. Don't make me explain all this stuff.
More in a moment with Joe Bob's Monstervision and Christine after these messages.
Well, we've just about finished my Valvoline chicken. And, you know, I hate when the geeky character stops wearing his glasses with no explanation. Why does that always happen in the movies? I want either a scene where they get contacts or a scene where they trip over a curb and say, hey, all in the name of beauty, or something like that. All right, so let me catch you up on Stephen King. For those of you who don't know about it, a year ago, Big Steve was taking a walk along the road near his house when this guy driving a blue 1985 Dodge Caravan was paying too much attention to his dog and slammed into one of the best-selling writers of our time. Steve's head shattered the windshield. His glasses ended up in the car, and he was hurled over the vehicle, and he landed in a ditch 14 feet away. Now, let me pass over the gory details for a minute while I point out a few interesting facts. One, it happened the very night we showed a movie Stephen King himself directed, Maximum Overdrive, which is about a bunch of cars and trucks and machines going haywire and killing people. Two, our movie that night was sponsored by a motor oil company, further solidifying the automotive theme. And three, the dog in the caravan was named Bullet. And Stephen King's new short story, which you can only get by downloading it off the internet, is called Riding the Bullet. And four, which I'm going to tell you number four when tonight's movie is over. You'll appreciate it more at that time. Plus, I'm out of time. Okay. Motor vehicles with demonic personalities, kind of a recurring theme in Big Steve's work. And, you know, think about that. You know, don't mess with that stuff, is what I say.
More in a moment with Joe Bob's Monstervision and Christine after these messages.
Now, if I remember correctly, the hoodlums that just trashed Christine deposited a little present on the dashboard in the form of human waste, if you know what I mean, and I think you do. Looks like the censors didn't like that one, but they did leave in the part about the foxy Alexandra Paul choking on her cheeseburger. So, actual attempted murder, yes. Gross high school pranks, niet. You know, the novel Christine was still on the bestseller list when the movie came out, but they added that whole beginning part on the assembly line where the car kills the guy for dropping cigar ashes on the seat. And in the book, Christine gets possessed by the evil spirit of her first owner. And also in the book, Arnie ages as Christine gets younger, kind of a Dorian Gray thing. In the movie, we only see the odometer go backwards, which is just plain confusing unless you have the other part about Arnie getting older. But I still love the flick, and I think John Carpenter did a great job, and he got some good actors for it. And, okay, Rusty's going to be out here with the mail at the next break. Speaking of which, let me give out my addresses while I'm thinking about it. You can write care of TNT, 1010 Techwood Drive, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318, or email at joebob@turner.com. Might as well give the website a plug, too, tnt.turner.com/joebob. Okay. Go. Alexandra Paul, she is a cutie, isn't she? She's got an identical twin sister who's a firefighter. I just have one thing to say about that. Anybody got a match?
More in a moment with Joe Bob's Monstervision and Christine after these messages.
So the fat boy pulls a knife on Christine. Ooh, very scary, a knife against a car. But a pretty cool scene where Christine repairs herself after being smashed to smithereens by the bad guys. That's probably about what Stephen King looked like when he was lying in that ditch after his accident.
No, that's terrible.
Well, what? It's true. Should I tell you the extent of Stephen King's injuries?
No, it gives me the willies.
Rusty, you have flown a jet through a war zone during a thunderstorm. How can you get the willies hearing about a collapsed lung and a couple of fractures?
All right. Do you know what an external fixator is?
What?
It's where they put all this metal in your leg to hold the bones together, and there's pieces of it protruding from your skin to hold it all in place.
Yeah.
So he had this erector set thing into his knee, bolted. And then in his pelvis, he had internal fixation hardware, which goes underneath the skin. All in all, he had 5 operations. And, oh, brother, put your head between your knees. Here, breathe into this, Joe Bob.
I'm okay.
Jeez, I have a letter for you, you know. It's from Lorianne Sweet Eckersall of Panama.
All right, I'm okay. Panama, the country?
I think so.
Joe Bob, I enjoy watching your show on TNT. In Panama, it's channel 25 on cable. But I was highly offended by remarks you made last night during Creep Show. Not all women are squeamish about cockroaches. I've seen my sister smash them with her bare hands. I've even seen my brother eat one, although I did ask him to please not do that in front of my kids again. So, stop making these chauvinistic remarks. And to remind you, I'm sending you a small gift from Panama. Enjoy, Lorianne Sweet Eckersall. Okay, Lorianne, so you're a cockroach killer, fearless. I give up, you're right. And, oh, God, is this what I think it is? Did she actually...
Oh, I think so.
Oh, here, take.
More in a moment with Joe Bob's Monstervision and Christine after these messages.
You know why he had to die? Because he was dirty and he never shaved and he chewed his cigar down to the nub. That's rule number 47 of filmmaking. So that was the end of Robert Prosky, who plays Darnell the garage owner, and the rest of the young hoodlums. What did we learn from that? Well, we learned that any turkey who plays the Stones on his radio is a goner. But it's the beginning of Harry Dean Stanton as the curious detective, and of Arnie's new black leather vest, because when you become cool, you always start wearing leather, right? Also, when you're being chased by a rabid flame-engulfed Plymouth, always run down the middle of the road. And, of course, ducking into an alley didn't help Moochie, so what the heck. Plus, we got to see that excellent plow and burn where Buddy ends up lying on the broken yellow like a freshly ignited piece of charcoal. And I should point out that Keith Gordon, that's the actor playing Arnie, he put away his nerd boy image and he did become cool. More specifically, he became a big-time director. He wrote and directed Waking the Dead, which I believe is still playing in theaters. And he also did The Chocolate War, A Midnight Clear, and Mother Night, that Nazi flick with Nick Nolte. So, go Keith! Okay, back to Christine after the ads. Wonder what that first meeting with Nick Nolte was like, though, you know, because Mr. Nolte, this is the demonically possessed geeky guy who falls in love with a car in Christine, and he'll be directing you.
More in a moment with Joe Bob's Monstervision and Christine after these messages.
You know that one speech where Keith Gordon as Arnie chugs beer and drives with no hands and plays chicken and says, "Love has a voracious appetite"? One of the greatest speeches in horror movie history, in my opinion. And now John Stockwell has carved a little message into Christine's hood. Why do I think she is not going to be happy about that? And by the way, was he crying when Arnie was drinking and driving around like a maniac? The cool guy becomes a wimp, and the wimp becomes a cool guy. Is that it? Okay, I want to see what's going to happen at Darnell's tonight. So let's return to Christine after the commercials. Dennis seemed to accept that Christine is alive pretty darn easily, didn't he? Of course, when you've got Alexandra Paul rubbing up all over you, you know, you'll believe just about anything. "Oh, yes, honey, let's go kill the car." Yeah, whatever you say. "Can I smell your hair again?"
More in a moment with Joe Bob's Monstervision and Christine after these messages.
And what did we need Harry Dean Stanton for? To ask about the paint job and then attend an automotive funeral. I should point out another difference between the book and the movie is that in the book, Arnie and his mom get killed in a separate car accident while Christine is being destroyed. So Christine doesn't kill Arnie like she does here. That seemed weird to me. Also, I wanted to point out that the famous Dodge Caravan that ran over Stephen King, it was purchased by Stephen King's lawyer to keep it away from souvenir hunters, and King's lawyer says it will be destroyed. Okay, next week we return to the world of independent low-budget action flicks, otherwise known as B-movie hell, with Within the Rock. A loose moon is headed toward Earth, and some outer space miners have just unleashed an alien. Sounds vaguely familiar, but that's it for me, Joe Bob Briggs, reminding you that power corrupts, and absolute power is kind of neat, though. Did you guys hear the one about the blonde whose car breaks down on the highway? And she eases it over onto the shoulder and she gets out and opens the trunk. And out jump these two guys in trench coats who walk to the rear of the vehicle, and they stand facing the oncoming traffic, and they open their coats and expose themselves to the approaching drivers. And this huge pileup happens on the freeway. It's not long before the highway patrol shows up, and the cop yells at the blonde, "What the heck is going on here?" And the blonde says, "My car broke down." The cop says, "Well, what are these perverts doing here on the road?" And the blonde says, "Those are my emergency flashers." Joe Bob Briggs reminding you that the drive-in will never die. You didn't like that one. Why did the blonde have to break her car window? Because she left her keys in the ignition and her two blonde sisters were locked inside.